Lying a hole in some nasty weather. Just got the mainsail. You can't see her up there. Hope to God she'll be alright. Don't ever recall anything like this before. This is phenomenal winds. I've no idea what they are. My wind indicator still doesn't work on the boat. That's driving rain. I mean really driving rain. Ever since I got up this morning, it's been this kind of weather. So I'm basically laid up. Stop the boat. I've got the mainsail up. Luckily I've got the third reef in. It's basically like a storm sail. So I'm just going to wait and see what happens. I hope to God it comes down. I slept on the floor last night. Got all the usual equipment, an iPhone set up to go off every 40 minutes or so during the night to wake me up, and a headlamp torch. While at sea I normally sleep in one of the side berths here in the saloon, but it's so hot back there. I was just sweating, and the difference between there and here was remarkable. I even had to put a bed sheet and a thin blanket over me at one point. I'm right under the companionway there, and there's a nice draft coming through. Kept me cool all night. As you can see by the flag, we're sailing downwind. Wind's behind us, so it was coming through here, down the steps and onto me, which was really nice. And also it's quicker for me to come on deck, which I did do about 12 times I think last night. Got the pole out. As you can see, a heavily reefed foresail. There's quite a bit of swell overnight. It's come down now, which is nice, so I can make my coffee and start the day. But yeah, a bit gloomy, but completely okay, unlike the horrible squalls that we had a couple of days ago, it was now. See, that's the dedication I have. I'm making videos. It's 6:30 in the morning. I've just got up and I haven't even had my first cup of coffee yet, and I'm thinking of you guys. I've been up on the deck checking a problem I have with a mast. Did it again last night, a strange noise, and you can see there's a ship over there. Exactly the same thing happened yesterday. I was checking the mast, I looked up and there's a bloody great ship so close to the boat, unreal. But there you go. Don't know if you can hear it, there's a creaking noise. That's the compression post for the mast. The mast sits directly on top of that, and the downward pressure, of which there's quite a lot, runs down through that. There's a metal post inside. There's the compression post there, and I can hear the sound, and also while I'm checking it, the collision alarm's just gone off again. I don't know why. The thing of it is this, there's the foresail fully unfurled. There's a lot of force in that. And that comes down to the point of the spinnaker pole, and then some of that force is transferred back down the spinnaker pole to the mast. The spinnaker pole then is joined by a jaw to a ring, to a car that slides up and down a track. You can see the track here, and that's held onto the mast by pop rivets. The force is coming down the pole in that direction. Which is pushing sideways onto this track, which is an unnatural thing to do, but that's the way it's designed to work. There are a few creaking noises now, but that's not the noises I'm talking about. They're coming from deep inside the mast. Well, I can't tell really. I think they're coming from somewhere in here, but it's real difficult to tell. But it's a little bit scary. I want to know what's going on. The problem is, of course, I'm way out at sea with no hope of help from anybody if something was to go wrong. Under the bimini on a hot day. When I say bimini, it's actually the old cover for the new dinghy which works better as a makeshift bimini, especially in heat like this. It is hot, damn hot. At sea, and after a big disasters with making bread, I turned my skills into making chapatis, and that works perfectly. Yes, I've just about given up trying to make bread. I just cannot get it to rise. But that's a chapati. Basically, it's exactly the same mix as you do with bread, except there's no yeast. It's an unleavened bread, the same as the Arabs would eat, because they didn't get around to doing the yeast. I don't know how people invented modern bread. It's so complicated to make. The chances of somebody accidentally mixing yeast and water and flour and making it into a dough and making bread are millions to what I know how to do it, and I can't get it to work. But that looks great, and I've tried a couple of, they're perfect. So good boat food there. And all you do is you put it in a hot pan, you make it real thin, put it in olive oil, hot pan, chapatis, flat bread. Again, with the foresail up and with the mainsail tied onto the boom. I tried the mainsail earlier on, but it was just shielding the wind from the foresail, which is doing a grand job, pulling us along at about 5 knots. Been a good trip, but again, roly-poly, so you have to hang on all the time with some squalls. We had a bit of rain, as you saw, but it's not been too bad. Yesterday actually was a grand sailing day. Hydro's working away back there. Yeah, I didn't really film any of it yesterday. It was just sublime. It was just good sailing, and I just kicked back and chilled all day. I haven't really seen any wildlife this trip. I did see a couple of dolphins very briefly, and a few seabirds. Got the tablet out, so maybe see if I can rig this up and show you what's going on. As you look at the screen, you can see the start on the right hand side. That's the island of Keriaku, and I'm sailing from east to west to the island of Bonaire, which is in the Dutch ABCs. The reason for going there is that it's below the hurricane belt. This video, of course, was recorded before the disaster of Hurricane Irma, Category 5, which destroyed large parts of the Caribbean. It's not often I get out of the cockpit and come up forward here. The weather's got to be really good, safe. I've got my harness and my life jacket on, but it's good to be able to enjoy the rest of the boat. It's a bit bumpy today, a bit brisk the wind. We just got the foresail up. Wind's behind us, chugging us along at about 5 knots, which is fine. And I'm about 20 miles left to run to Bonaire, which is one of the most spectacular diving places in the world. We're talking about scuba diving. I've heard of it many years ago, and I'm looking forward to this. It's part of our run out from the rest of the Caribbean, because the hurricane season is coming, and Bonaire and the islands Curacao and Aruba, part of the Dutch island group over here, are out of the hurricane belt, so that's good news for me. And the weather was getting a bit rough back there, so I'm hoping we're going to have some nice diving coming up. It's going to be brilliant. So anyway, enjoy this, some views of the boat. first I couldn't see it, and then ever so slightly on the horizon there it was. The windswept island of Bonaire. Whoa! I was just doing a commentary to camera and the wind's just picked up. She's blowing a bit there. Bit of a little squall. What's different here is it's almost completely calm and the wind is swooping across. When I came round the corner to this side of the island, I was greeted by a whole flock of pink storks, I think they were, that came past and said hello. I'm now sailing up the coast, about 6 or 7 miles still to go to where I can stop the boat. There's no anchoring allowed here. It's like a huge national park, a lot of dive sites, a lot of beautiful corals. So we've got to find a mooring. Yeah, taking a mooring will certainly be a lot easier than trying to anchor. It is windy here. I hope when I get round the corner there's not as much wind, but at least I can sail. That's the main thing. It's probably going to be almost dark by the time I get there, so I'm hoping I should find a mooring okay. Came down to check the AIS because where all the boats are usually stopped, there's distances and it can tell you how far you got to go to the moorings. And I don't know if you can see it, my friends Moonrise and Bella are both here. It's crazy. I don't know how much it's blowing. It keeps coming up and going down. But I'm still sailing up the island and I'm doing just over 5 knots at the moment. And it's just blowing. It's great. I hope it doesn't blow around the corner. I've got to try and find a mooring. But the good thing about Moonrise and Bella being here is that I've got friends. And if it gets dark, hopefully they can give me a little bit of help to get in. Got to be the weirdest place I have ever been in my life. Pink water and foam everywhere.